Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, September 16th, 2024. We will begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Lehman. Here. Maher.
Here.
Roberts. Stroman.
Here.
Pettigrew.
Here.
Bieberdorf.
Here.
Seacrest. Ham.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Roseland.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll have an invocation from Pastor Josie Sorensen, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are able and willing, would you please rise?
Good evening, everyone. Please join me in prayer. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to come together. God, I pray over the mayor, the city council, and those other departments represented here tonight. I pray that they would seek your wisdom regarding decisions for Rapid City. I pray they would have ears to hear what the public has to say. I thank you for those opportunities for the public to stand up and speak on what they believe in. Again, Lord, I thank you for this day. Please bless this meeting tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion by Lehman, second by Ham to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a couple of presentations. For starters, we will have a presentation from Amy Ritchie. Amy, go ahead and go up to the podium if you could, and then we'll have a proclamation following that.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight to discuss our We Connect community initiative. That I'm here to ask for your support in that. And when I say support, I'd like to see everybody talking about it, spreading it around to their friends, their families, their churches, their civic organizations, whatever you're involved in. I am Amy Ritchie with the Black Hills Regional Homeless Coalition. I am housed at the Volunteers of America office. I got a little support team over here. And I want to encourage this council and the people of Rapid City to be open-minded and get some education on what our housing insecure population looks like and how you can assist that population in overcoming those barriers in positive and good ways. I personally have some lived experience with homelessness. I was homeless for about a year in Colorado when I was young. That was 30 years ago, so significantly different now than it was then, I'm sure. But it gave me a heart for people trying to overcome those barriers, and it gives me a little bit of insight into things that work and things that don't. So everybody has a different reason for landing in that position. Some people have been in that position for years, some people for just a few days or a few months. So there is no one answer. There isn't a Band-Aid we can put on it. Will we cure homelessness? No. I like to say when my grandma was younger, they had hobos that would hop the trains and travel the country, and there's just a certain segment of the population that enjoys that lifestyle. So am I here to tell you this initiative is going to cure homelessness or housing insecurity? It's not. What this initiative is going to do is going to educate our community, educate our the council, educate our businesses and our other organizations in what services are out there and how to refer people that need them to those services. A lot of times I hear people say, what are we doing? There's 14 people sleeping in this park and 10 people over here, and what are we doing about it? In all reality, we're doing a lot as a city. We have a lot of great service providers. This initiative will inform people what we are doing. It will let them know that the city of Rapid City and the community isn't closing their eyes and just trying to ignore it and hope it goes away. Another question I get a lot is, how is this different from Seattle or Los Angeles or Denver or someplace like that? It's really not. The work that we have to do is very similar. What this initiative is doing is educating our community on what to do, and we need to get started early. The only difference between what this city and this organization and this initiative is doing is we're starting before the problem is like Seattle. If we get those things in place early on, catch those people early on, hopefully we won't have 50 tents in the park. on an evening that then we have to figure out how to deal with, be it the police department or whatever. So hopefully if we get started on this early, education is key, awareness is key. The We Connect Community Toolkit was created to discuss with business owners what they are running into with our housing insecure or homeless population. And that's only one part. We also started with some giving meters that everybody's aware of, I believe, or most people are aware of. We no longer have any giving meters. Not everything works the first time you try it, right? So those meters were vandalized, destroyed, removed, whatever. So now we realize that that's not the way to go. Now what we'd like to see is a mass campaign for text to give. When a person, a community member, is going to Walmart and there's 4 or 5 people standing in front of the door, Walmart for example, there's 4 or 5 people panhandling in front of the door, that's intimidating, it's scary. But also, there's a big segment of our population that has a huge heart and wants to do something, but they don't know what. This initiative will get out there in the public. We'd like to do some public presentations, just open up a big venue, get some people in, talk about the things that are out there, talk about the text to give when you come to holiday time when people are in the giving mood. We'd like to see that go into that text to give. Just real quick, the way that works at this time is Black Hills Area Community Foundation holds those funds. And then once there's a significant amount in that account, they'll do a competitive grant process for homeless organizations. So the goal is not to raise money necessarily, it's to raise awareness and give people an option of what they can do. It takes everybody on board in a city. We're not that big, we are small enough that we can all play in the same sandbox. We can all be on the same trajectory and achieve the goals that will reduce significantly our housing insecure population. We just need to be on the same page. I think that's probably the most important thing is between the service providers, the government, the civic organizations, and the community, we just need to try to get on the same page. One of the best things that we did with our We Connect is we created the co-response team. The co-response team, I don't know how much you guys know about them, but I'm going to give you a little blurb, is just a group of people that go out there and actually help those people that are on the street every day. So there's maybe a police officer, mobile medic, Journey On, making sure that people are not in a position where they could really be hurt or hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. That team has saved the city a significant amount of money in ambulance calls, emergency room visits. Mobile medic will come. If they don't take you anywhere, they don't charge you. So at least we're dealing with a little bit of the health aspects of that through those organizations that are part of the co-response team. We just want to create education and awareness that highlights the complex issues that are out there. There isn't one organization, again, that can fix this. It's going to take everybody. We just want to make sure that everybody knows what is out there to support and assist our homeless population. How is this initiative different? I did that already. So what I'm really here to do is offer you guys challenge everybody here to let's get together. Let's put something on the calendar. You can see what the We Connect community initiative looks like. You can see what we're teaching people. You could see what kind of education and awareness we're trying to get out there. And that will, in the end, lead to you telling someone else and telling someone else. We're just playing telephone on a really big scale. So if we're telling 3 people and someone else is telling 3 people, eventually the community from your neighbor to your pastor will all know what's going on, and then they can hop on board and help out in whatever way they seem possible. How it benefits the city, I think, is pretty obvious. As a city, if we can provide assistance to overcome the barriers to those that are willing to jump in and do that want to do that, I think we have an obligation as humans to support our fellow man when they're ready for a little bit of help. So I would just want to help create a more educated community. Thanks, that's about it. I have, we are, on a side note, we are in the middle of updating our Community Connect toolbook to have more recent numbers. and statistics in it, the ones that are in the book that we have now, we're almost out of them, they're from 2020. And there's been a couple of really interesting changes in some of the numbers that we're finding. So here shortly, we'll have new numbers in there. I did insert some pit count numbers in there, point in time count that we do in January for 3 years running. So you'll have the opportunity when you look through the handout to see what has changed over the last 3 years. You can go to the South Dakota Housing website, Housing for the Homeless Consortium, and you can find about 10 years worth of pit count numbers in there. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like over the long term and the ebbs and flows of those statistics, you can certainly find them, or you can contact me at VOA and I'll be happy to send you a link to do that. Yeah, I'd just like you to take this opportunity to refer people to give us a call and have a presentation. It doesn't matter to me if it's 5 people or 50, or I've never spoken in front of 500, but I'll sure try. But I'd take 500. 500 would be great. So I'm going to pass these out now that I'm finished with that. Again, I'm Amy Ritchie with the Black Hills Regional Homeless Coalition. And if you need to get a hold of me, you could call Volunteers of America, and that's the easiest way to do that. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Ritchie. We appreciate the presentation. I'm sure if
you.
there's questions, they'll reach out to you offline. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Council, if you like the Constitution, you can come up here with me if you'd like. That's what the proclamation's about. Come on up. I'm assuming you do, since you all took oaths to it. Well, we are heading into Constitution Week, and so each year the City of Rapid City provides a proclamation, and I am continuing that tradition. And so I've just got an executive proclamation to read out. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardians of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Jason Solomon, Mayor of Rapid City, South Dakota, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2024 as Constitution Week, and ask citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had back in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardians of our liberties. And so we have it signed here. And just as a particular note, we actually have a special presentation here over the course of the next week or so. I think it's later this week. It begins Wednesday. In our lobby, we're going to have a traveling exhibit in the lobby of City Hall for America 250. So we are just a couple of years away from the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence signing, and they have a traveling exhibit that's making its way through Rapid City. So it will be here later this week. I encourage you to come and check it out. It'll be pretty cool. So with that, I think that we're good to go. Do we want a picture? Okay. Now we will move on to general public comment, a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I do have one speaker request form from Adrian Epp. Mr. Epp, as a reminder, you have 3 minutes. The yellow, if it's working, means you got 30 seconds to go. I think you know how this works by now.
I would hope so. I've been doing this for a little over a year now, I think. So when I drive home from work, I usually see students walking home from school. This is forgetting the name of the school, the one that's nearby Sheridan. And they have to cross Sheridan. Right now, it's not too bad for them. Traffic is slow because the construction and the number of lanes that they have to cross isn't too many. This won't last long, however, because the road is actively being made more hostile for them. There will be much faster traffic and more lanes to cross. It will be less likely that they will be allowed to walk to school because of the increased danger. Their parents will then contribute to the traffic because the city tried to solve traffic while not caring for the safety of children. It's not a malicious or willful disregard for safety. Let me make that clear. I'm not accusing anyone of wanting to harm children. It's the result of windshield perspective, where you don't actually believe people walk to get to their destinations. This is one of the many costs of car dependency. A child's mobility is now dependent on their parents. Now we have this incredibly sad notion that a kid gains their independence at the age of 16. It should be no wonder that kids spend a significant amount of time on screens when their only choices are to stay at home or be driven around by their parents. This leads to developmental issues too, and it affects their decision making. They have a lack of exercise as well, and that they're overly dependent on their parents. And of course, it negatively affects the parents who then need to drive their kids around everywhere. Car dependency negatively affects all of us, but especially children, the disabled, and the elderly. Let's make this city a little fairer, please.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment period, and we will close public comment and move on to non-public hearing items 3 through 30 and open public comment for items 3 through 28. I do not have any speaker request forms for those items, so we will close public comment for items 3 through 28 and move on to consent items 3 through 28. Would the council like to remove any item for separate consideration? Councilor Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 23.
Item 23. Okay, Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mayor. Items 13 and 15, please.
13 and 15.
Yes.
Okay. Any other items? Okay. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 3 through 28 with the exception of 13, 15, and 23.
So moved.
Got a motion by Maher, second by Ham. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to item number 13. Authorize staff to advertise bids for Robbinsdale and Oak Valley Park parking lots, project number 2819. CIP Parks and Rec estimated cost is $200,000. Councilor Pettigrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question, if I could, for Jeff. Maybe I got my wires crossed, Mr. Beekler, but when I read the summary of the project, they call for plenty of parking, a park, and access to the lake for fishing. Is there a lake over there?
To get that answer, we're going to Parks and Rec Director Jeff Beekler.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councilman Pettigrew, the lake that they're referring to is the new park site that's at Catron and Dan Christie. There's an area that's a really low area, and there's a lake at the bottom of that area.
Okay.
So the parking area will be up on top, and then there will be walking paths to get folks down to the lake.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Beekler.
All right, very good. I will entertain a motion. Motion by Lehman and a second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, approve request from KLJ on behalf of Pennington County for a variance to waive the requirement to install sidewalk along 900 Concourse Drive, Rapid City, per City Ordinance 12.08.060. Councilor Pettigrew, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take this opportunity to get on my soapbox and talk about sidewalks. When this park was put in, I'm sure all of us were not on the council, and it was put in with the requirement there didn't have to be sidewalks. This development now has changed purposes. There's a church there, there's a school there, there's two daycares there. The county just bought this building, so there's offices there. And I drove over there Sunday, and there was two people walking down the middle of the street because there isn't any sidewalks. Some time ago, we voted on a ordinance request for a sidewalk, and we allowed them to put the sidewalk on one side and not on the other. So that's being done now. There's another business that's putting in a sidewalk on two sides. So I'm just frustrated when we look at these developments. We have to put in sidewalks. It's a shame that now this development has been there for many years. Every time someone wants to do something, it has to come before us. And I think it's a public safety issue. The FBI put in I think it's the FBI put in a new building. They put in a sidewalk. They didn't ask for a variance. I talked to Public Works today, and they explained to me the reasoning for it. But I am hung up with the variance for a sidewalk when there's going to be business or a county office there. Citizens are going to be going to that facility to buy license plates, to get other issues done. And I guess they're just going to have to walk in the street in order to get there. And that does not make sense to me. In my opinion, there is a place for a sidewalk. There's room for a sidewalk. Public Works explained to me ADA requires a 5-foot sidewalk. Not questioning what they told me. Can't there be some leniency? There's a spot where we could easily put a 36-inch sidewalk. I had my tape measure yesterday when I was there and measured it. So it's just a frustration, and I would just ask the council to consider in the future as these projects come up, we have to put in sidewalks. Thank you.
Very good. Next up, Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I agree with him.
Short and sweet. I like it. Next up, Councilor Maher.
Yeah, I was the first tenant of that building 20 years ago. My company built it. I worked in there for 20 years. We never had a sidewalk, and we were fine. So by requiring the county to put in a 700-foot long sidewalk that connects to the neighbor that doesn't have a sidewalk, we're not consistent. And so there's only like 3 or 4 sidewalks in that whole industrial park. And there are 2 daycares, but those are people who work there and they drive their kids to daycare. They're not on bikes or walking. So I'm going to be in support of this waiver or variance.
Is that it? All right. Councilor Stroman, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I know Councilman Maher has by far the most experience, way more experience than I do at that particular location because he worked there for many years. And I normally would defer to him, but I have to say that with these county offices going in there and the opportunities for a lot more foot traffic, I have to agree with Councilman Pettigrew and I guess Councilman Evans too. I yield.
Enough said. Oh, Councilor Evans. You have 4 minutes, 55 seconds left.
Well, thank you. I just want to point out that, and Mr. Pettigrew touched on it, but this area was originally zoned very industrial, and I don't think anybody foresaw this become a pedestrian-oriented area. And had they known it was going to be that way, they never would have allowed these variances. But little by little, this insidious creeping in of an anti-sidewalk sort of cancer has happened. We keep letting people off the hook on this. We did a compromise with the other one because it was a very, last fall or something, it was a very busy east-west corridor that we're trying to create there along Homestead. But now that the county's deciding to put people out there, they'll be walking a lot. We've got the Seventh-day Adventists with a school and the churches and various other things. Nobody could have foreseen where this was going. So I think we need to put the kibosh to it right now and say enough is enough. If you're going to build out there, that's the price of admission, and you're going to put in a sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like the Community Development Director, Vicki Fisher, would like to chime in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A little history on why it is that this area currently does not have sidewalks. For many, many years, any property that was zoned industrial, it was not required to have sidewalks. We saw these as streets that would be accommodating a lot of truck traffic, and the desire was to not encourage pedestrians to walk within these industrial areas. And then an industrial park area up along Deadwood Avenue, the Coca-Cola plant as an example, they had a lot of truck drivers coming in and out, but on the outskirts of that area, we upstood some residential development. And these people want to walk in the evenings. And where are they walking? Down the middle of the street of these industrial parks. So we changed the ordinance about 10, 12 years ago that within light industrial, it is required that you put a sidewalk in. And if it's new development or existing development, there are some parameters that if you expand beyond a certain percent, then you need to bring a sidewalk in at that time. Or if it's new development or a new use over a certain occupancy amount, then you have to bring sidewalks forward. City Council made the decision that staff would not have the authority to decide what sidewalks would be waived and what sidewalks would be required. And as such, this variance tonight is before you. But those in the neighborhood who don't have sidewalks, they didn't secure variances. They weren't required. And those that you do see sidewalks on, those are properties that have done some expansion that's triggered the sidewalk requirement.
Thank you for that history. So I still need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the variance.
Got a motion by Maher with a second by Lehman to approve the variance. I believe we need to go to a roll call vote. So we will go ahead and do that. There we go.
Lehman. Maher.
Aye.
Stroman.
No.
Pettigrew.
No.
Bieberdorf.
No.
Ham.
Aye.
Evans.
No.
Roseland.
Aye.
It's a tie vote, 4-4.
Interesting. I do have a question. I thought there was a good point raised on the ADA requirement. So if the ADA requirement, maybe this is for Dale Tech, is 5 feet, and we can only do 36 feet because of the way, apparently the way it's situated out there, would that be sufficient? I guess Director Tick.
No, in my opinion, if there's a sidewalk that is built, it needs to meet standards. A sidewalk can be built out there that meets standards. It's just going to cost more. To make it a 36-inch wide sidewalk, we would be in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay. And so from what I understand, it can only go 36 inches. Is that, I mean, maybe I'm just listening to Councilor Pettigrew, but so 5 feet is not an option out where they are situated?
There would have to be some earth moved in order to get the
Okay.
5-foot wide sidewalk. And there's a minor spot just off the back of the curb where you could squeeze in a little minor bit of sidewalk, but it certainly would not meet ADA requirements.
Is the county getting any special treatment that the neighboring properties did not get by their requirement to put in a sidewalk?
As Vicki described, this is purely a council decision as to whether or not they can submit for a variance, and it's the council's decision as to whether or not the variance is approved or denied.
Okay. Councilor Pettigrew, you want to chime back in?
Question, if I may, Mr. Mayor, for Mr. Tack.
Sure.
So, Dale, I understand the ADA requirement's 5 feet. If we don't abide by that, is there funding involved, or would there be liability if someone would trip or whatever?
It's a liability, and also there could be a claim against the cities for, against the city just for not following the act.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I think all things being equal, I'd want everybody to just follow what it was, but I'm going to go with the motion and vote aye. So that breaks the tie. We will now move on to item 23, approve resolution number 2024-066, a resolution levying assessment for abatement of nuisances. With that, Councilor Lehman pulled this, but it looks like Finance Director Ainsley is going to chime in. Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note that one of the property owners on 806 West Boulevard North did pay their assessment, so we would request that that would be removed.
Okay, so we will entertain a motion to approve with the exception of that item. Got a motion by Lehman, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to the end of the consent calendar. We will move on to non-consent items 29 through 30 and open public comment for items 29 through 30. I do not have any speaker request forms for those items, so we will close public comment and move on to item 29, first reading of ordinance number 6635, an ordinance amending, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 5 for 2024.
Move to approve.
Motion by Stroman, second by Bieberdorf to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 30, a request by TUI Design Group for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed Lot 1 of Meadowlark Hills subdivision, generally described as being located northeast of the eastern terminus of East Madison Street. The recommendations to approve with stipulations. Motion by Lehman, second by Ham to approve with stipulations. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to public hearing item 31, and we will open public hearing item comments for item 31, but I do not have any speaker request forms for those item, for that item. So we will close public hearing item for item 31 and move on to consent public hearing item 31, which is alcohol licenses. Entertain a motion. Motion by Lehman, second by Roseland to approve item 31. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the non-consent public hearing items 32 through 34. Item 32, second reading of ordinance number 6631, an ordinance adopting section 17.40.055 to add usable open space requirements to the office commercial district for multi-family dwellings and assisted living centers. Motion by Ham. Looking for a second by Maher. To approve, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 33, approve resolution number 2024-015, a request by TUI Design Group for Northwest Engineering for vacation of right-of-way property, generally described as being located north of East Watertown and east of Spruce Street and Fiegel subdivision. I do have an update from Director Fisher that there's a request to continue this item to the October 7th City Council meeting. Got a motion by Lehman, second by Stroman to continue this item to the October 7th council meeting. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 34, a request by Toby Morris for Jim Skull to approve resolution number 2024-064 to create tax increment financing district and approve resolution 2024-065 to adopt project plan for Innan Housing Development TID number 92 for property generally described as being located east of Elkville Road, north of Homestead Street, and west of Innan Drive. Looking for a motion. Second. Motion by Ham, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we have a necessity for an executive session. Do we have a motion? Motion by Lehman, second by Ham to move to executive session. We're in executive session. Thank you.
I know, it's just.
We'd be a lot happier community.
Got a motion to come out of executive session by Lehman, second by Roseland. Anybody, all in favor? We're out of executive session. We will now move on to the bill list, and for that, we will go to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The total bills for tonight are $19,454,355.89.
Any motions?
I move to approve, sir.
Motion by Ham, second by Bieberdorf to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Lehman, second by Ham. All in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.